I am 59 years old, and I am sitting in a den that used to be my home office, staring at a company lanyard with my photo on it that expired 4 years ago, but I still can't throw away, because throwing it away would mean admitting that 22 years of my life meant nothing to the people I gave everything to. The photo on it shows a younger man, 47, full face, confident smile, hair still mostly brown, eyes that still believe the lie. The lie that if you show up every day, if you give your best years, if you never complain, if you stay loyal, the company will be loyal back. That man on the lanyard is a stranger to me now. He trusted a building. He trusted a logo on a coffee mug. He trusted a system that was designed from the very first day to use him up and spit him out the moment the spreadsheet said he cost more than he produced. I was fired at 55, not laid off, not restructured, not transitioned, fired. And the word matters because they chose it deliberately. Laid off comes with severance. Restructured comes with sympathy. Fired comes with a cardboard box and a security escort and a parking lot that suddenly feels like the longest walk of your life. So if you're watching this, if you're sitting in a cubicle right now, or driving to a job you've had for 10, 15, 20 years, believing that your loyalty is building something, believing that someone upstairs is keeping score, I need you to hear this from a man who kept score for 22 years and discovered that the scoreboard was never plugged in. Loyalty is not a retirement plan. It never was. And the sooner you understand that, the less it will cost you. Let me tell you what it cost me. I started at Meridian Solutions in 1999. Clinton was still president. Google was running out of a garage. And I walked into a glass office building in Charlotte, North Carolina, with a fresh haircut and a tie my wife picked out, and a feeling in my stomach that was equal parts terror and hope. I was 33 years old. I had a 2-year-old daughter and a mortgage and a wife named Sharon, who believed in me the way only someone who hasn't been disappointed yet can believe in another person, completely, without conditions, without backup plans. My starting salary was $42,000 a year. I remember the exact number because I sat in my car in the parking lot after the interview and did the math on a napkin. $3,500 a month before taxes, just enough. Just barely enough if we were careful, if we didn't eat out too often, if the car didn't break down, if nothing went wrong. I told myself this was the beginning, the foundation. I would start here, and I would work harder than anyone else, and I would rise. That was the American promise, wasn't it? Work hard, stay loyal, rise. And I did work hard. God, I worked hard. I was the first one in the building every morning, 5:45. The parking lot still dark. The lobby smelling like industrial floor cleaner and burned coffee from the break room pot that someone always left on overnight. I knew the security guard by name, Carl. He was a Vietnam vet with a bad knee, who called me brother and waved me through every morning with a smile that made me feel like I belonged somewhere. I ate lunch at my desk every day, a sandwich Sharon made the night before, wrapped in aluminum foil with a sticky note on it. Sometimes the note said, "I love you." Sometimes it said, "You've got this." Sometimes it was just a smiley face. I saved every single one of those notes in my desk drawer. 312 of them by the end. I counted them the day they told me to clean out my desk. 312 sticky notes from a woman who packed my lunch every day for 22 years because she believed in what I was building. I want you to sit with that for a moment. 312 I love yous in a desk drawer that now belongs to someone else. I miss things. You always miss things when you're loyal to a building instead of the people who live in your house. I miss my daughter Caitlin's first school play. She was a tree. She had one line, something about growing tall. And I wasn't there because we had a quarterly review, and my manager said he needed all hands on deck, like we were at war. Like the fate of civilization depended on a PowerPoint presentation about Q3 revenue projections. Sharon recorded it on a camcorder, the old kind with the flip-out screen. She showed it to me that night when I got home at 9:30, and I watched my daughter deliver her one line to a gymnasium full of parents, and she looked at the camera right after and said, "Is Daddy watching?" Sharon said, "Yes, baby, Daddy's watching." She lied for me. She covered for me. She turned my absence into a bedtime story where Daddy was always coming home soon, always working for us, always doing something important. And I let her construct that fiction because it was easier than admitting that I was choosing a fluorescent-lit building over a 6-year-old dressed as an oak tree. I got promoted 4 times. Each promotion came with a small raise and a bigger title and more responsibility in less time. That's the trade they don't tell you about. Every rung of the ladder costs you something you can't buy back. They give you money and take your hours. They give you a title and take your weekends. They give you a corner office and take your daughter's childhood and your wife's patience and your own health, and you smile and say thank you because the American dream told you this is what winning looks like. By 2015, I was Senior Director of Operations. I had an office with a window and a door I could close. I had a team of 31 people who reported to me. I had a company phone and a company laptop and a company credit card. And I had slowly, invisibly, without ever making a conscious decision, become company property. My identity was Meridian. My email was Meridian. My calendar was Meridian. My jokes were about Meridian. My stress was Meridian. My pride was Meridian. And somewhere along the way, the man who walked into that building in 1999 with a tie his wife picked out had been completely consumed by the thing he worked for. I wasn't an employee. I was a host, and the company was the parasite. And I was so grateful for the relationship I never noticed I was being eaten alive. Now let me tell you about the day. March 14th, 2021, a Sunday. I know it was a Sunday because I was at home, which was unusual, and Sharon had made pot roast, which she only made on Sundays, and the whole house smelled like garlic and rosemary and the particular warmth that only exists in a kitchen where someone has been cooking for hours with love as the main ingredient. My phone rang at 4:17 in the afternoon. I remember the time because I looked at the clock on the microwave when I picked up 4:17. The pot roast had 12 minutes left. My daughter was coming over with her husband. Sharon had set the table for 4 with the good plates, the white ones with the thin blue stripe that we only use for family dinners. It was my boss. Well, my boss's boss, a man named Kevin Driscoll, who I had met exactly 3 times in 22 years, and who pronounced my last name wrong every single time. He said he was sorry to call on a Sunday. He didn't sound sorry. He sounded like a man reading a script, and I know what a script sounds like, because I had been performing one for 2 decades. He said the company was going in a new direction, as if a corporation is a car and they simply needed to turn the wheel. He said my position had been eliminated, not me, my position, as if the position was a thing separate from the man who filled it for 22 years, as if you could remove the position without removing the person, like pulling a tablecloth out from under the dishes and expecting nothing to break. He said I would receive 2 weeks severance. 2 weeks. 22 years of my life converted into a check that wouldn't cover a month's mortgage. He said I should come in Monday to collect my personal belongings and return my badge and my laptop and my company phone. He said, "Thank you for your service, thank you for your service," like I was a retired appliance, like I was a printer that had finally jammed one too many times, and it was cheaper to replace me than to fix me. I stood in my kitchen holding the phone, and I could hear Sharon behind me opening the oven to check the pot roast, and I could smell the garlic and the rosemary, and I could see the table set for 4 with the good plates, and I could not speak. She knew. Before I turned around, before I said a word. She knew, because after 30 years of marriage, you learn to read silence the way a sailor reads the sky, and my silence was a hurricane. She closed the oven, slowly. I heard the hinges creak and the door seal shut, and then nothing. Just the clock on the wall, just the hum of the refrigerator, just 2 people standing 5 feet apart in a kitchen that smelled like Sunday and realizing that everything had just changed. She said what happened. I said they let me go. She didn't cry. She walked over to me and she took the phone out of my hand and she placed it face down on the counter and she put both hands on my face and she said, "Okay, just okay." And in that okay was everything. The fear and the anger and the love and the 22 years of sticky notes and packed lunches and lies told to a little girl dressed as a tree and a woman who had been married to a building for so long she barely remembered the man who lived inside it. My daughter arrived 20 minutes later. We ate pot roast. Nobody mentioned it. But the pot roast tasted different that night. Everything tasted like endings. Monday morning I drove to the building for the last time, 5:45, force of habit. The parking lot was dark. Carl wasn't at the security desk anymore. He had retired 3 years earlier. The new guard didn't know my name. He checked my ID against a list. A list. I was on a list now, a list of people who no longer belonged. They had a cardboard box waiting for me at my desk. That's the part that gets me. The box was already there, which means someone had placed it there on Friday, maybe Thursday, maybe earlier. Which means while I was still working, still answering emails, still showing up at 5:45, still believing I was needed, someone was already preparing the box that would carry my life out of the building. I packed it in 11 minutes, 22 years, 11 minutes. A photo of Sharon and Caitlin. A coffee mug that said "World's Okayest Boss." A small cactus that somehow survived 2 decades of fluorescent light. And 312 sticky notes that I scraped out of the drawer with both hands, like I was rescuing something precious from a fire. A woman from HR walked me to the door. She was maybe 30. She smiled professionally. She held the door open and said, "We wish you the best." We, as if the building itself was speaking, as if the glass and concrete and carpet had formed a committee and collectively decided to wish me well as they erased me. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 45 minutes. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there with a cardboard box in the passenger seat and a lanyard around my neck, and I stared at the building I'd given my life to, and I waited for it to do something, to acknowledge me, to flash a light, to send someone running out saying, "Wait, we made a mistake. You matter. Please come back." Nobody came. The building just sat there, the way buildings do, indifferent and permanent, filled with people already doing the job I thought only I could do. That was 4 years ago. I'm 59 now. I found another job eventually. Took 8 months. 8 months of sending resumes into a void that felt exactly like shouting into a well and hearing nothing come back. 8 months of interviews where people half my age sat across from me and looked at my resume like it was a history textbook. Interesting but not relevant. I work at a hardware store now. Part-time, $14.50 an hour. I help people find the right screw size, and I mix paint, and I answer questions about caulk and weather stripping, and I wear an apron instead of a tie. And there is no one in this building who will ever ask me to miss my daughter's life for a quarterly review. The lanyard still hangs in my den, next to a calendar I don't update and a desk I don't use. I look at it every morning, and I have a conversation with the man in the photo. I tell him he was a fool. I tell him loyalty is a gift you give to people, not to logos. I tell him a company is not a family, no matter how many times they say it at the Christmas party. A family doesn't have an HR department. A family doesn't calculate your value on a spreadsheet. A family doesn't hand you a cardboard box and wish you the best. Sharon is still here. She's in the kitchen right now, probably making something that smells like home. She stayed, not because I deserved it, because she's the kind of person who understands that a man can be a fool and still be worth saving. I don't know what I did to earn that kind of loyalty. Real loyalty, the kind that doesn't come with a 2-week severance package. But I know I didn't find it in that building. Now I'm talking to you, the one who just stayed late again, the one who checked your email at your kid's soccer game, the one who told your wife you'd be home by 7 and it's 9:30 and you're still at your desk and you're telling yourself it matters. It doesn't. I need you to hear that. It does not matter the way you think it does. You are not building equity. You are not storing up goodwill. You are not earning a future. You are spending the only currency that counts, your time, your presence, your irreplaceable hours on this earth. And you are handing them to an organization that will replace you before your chair gets cold. You think you're different. You think your boss sees you. You think those extra hours are being counted by someone who cares. They're not. They're being counted by a software system that tracks productivity metrics. And the moment your metric dips below the number they need, you will become a line item on a spreadsheet in a cardboard box on a desk. And a 30-year-old from HR smiling professionally as she holds the door open. Start tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight. Build something that has your name on it. Not a company's name, yours. Learn a skill that belongs to you when you walk out of that building. Save money they can't take back. Put time into the people who will still be at your table when the lanyard comes off. Your job is a chapter. Your family is the book. And I spent 22 years writing the wrong chapter while the book sat on a shelf collecting dust and waiting for an author who never came home on time. I am 59 years old. I make $14.50 an hour. I mix paint and I sort screws and I wear an apron. And last Tuesday I left work at 5 o'clock on the dot, drove straight home, walked into my kitchen where Sharon was chopping onions, and I took the knife out of her hand and I said, "Sit down and let me make dinner for once." She looked at me like she was seeing someone she hadn't seen in a very long time. And I think she was. Don't give the best parts of yourself to a building. Buildings don't remember your name, I promise you. I've got a lanyard that proves it,